Jumeirah, and after the phone call that I've been on now, I decided to record this for you. Guys, if there has ever been any requirement for you to panic, it's not today. And that's not because things are good and everything is well put together. It's just because panicking today would not get you to the right position. When you panic today, you stop taking rational decisions. In other words, you start deciding based on the places you can exit, because you will start shooting right and left. And you will probably exit assets or positions that you can exit with the least amount of pain, which are the ones you probably shouldn't exit because they're the most worthy. So yes, there's nowhere to hide. Banks aren't safe, but that doesn't mean that all banks aren't safe. Yes, there's a systematic risk that banks live at such a moment, and that's part of the structure of how a bank operates generally. Now, some banks maybe are in a better position, or definitely are in a better position than other banks. However, generally, banks are not in a favorable position today. Yeah, this may get banks out at a better position, or some banks out at a better position than others. Still, you're not advised to go fully into cash, obviously. You're not advised either to take the cash out of a bank and put it in your home, obviously. And those are things you know, but you need to know today more than ever. It's not advisable to go into one asset class fully. But yes, somebody like me, I'm into properties, and I'm mainly into properties, and approximately I'm only into properties. Everything else that I have is very small. Now, because that's what I understand and that's my playground, and I have a rule: if you don't understand it, don't play it. However, you need to be cautious of the game, and we talked about this for people who have not watched that episode, and it was probably maybe 30 minutes, and I detailed in it the kind of risks that are coming, and that was around a year ago, or a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years ago. There is two risks, and both are coming. Yes, asset devaluation. It can be equities, can be real estate, because evaluations are dropping for many reasons. One of them is sentiment. Today, you feel less excited and enthusiastic about the future. And this means that you will value assets in a different way. And by you means as an individual, but mostly also as a corporate and companies that do so. One. Two, there is a cash or currency devaluation coming, and that's coming. There's no way it doesn't. It can be slow and painful, but in my opinion, there will be instances where it will be fast, like in the 70s, fast and swift, and that will impact your. Pardon my phone. Somebody is sending me too many messages at the same time. That will impact your cash position. So where would you be? Would you be in assets or would you be in cash? Now, what matters today, everything is relevant. If you say this asset class is performing good, it means it's performing good or better than the other asset class in relevance to the other asset class, because that's, you need a point of comparison, and that's probably your point of comparison. So would you be in equities? Mostly not. That doesn't mean all companies will do bad. That means companies will mostly, or equities will mostly, not fare well in the current and coming position. But I'm not here to talk about equities, and I'm sure you're not listening to me to know more about equities. If you're in real estate, a real estate change is coming, and the changes are plenty. Look, over the coming few years, and we talked about it in detail, and I advise you to go back to some of those videos. Our mentality and how we think of real estate is changing. How we look at property and the need of a property or two or three is changing. What do we want of a property? And our ability or capability to hold a property or several is changing. All of those are changing. So you need to understand that the dynamics that you've understood are partly changing. Fundamentals still stand, but the dynamics change. With a property, you do cash flow. As long as you have a property that most probably will continue to cash flow, you're well off. You're in a decent position. Now, will properties drop in value? That's a definite. There's no way that it doesn't. So understand that. And will it drop in value for fundamentals? It will drop in value for some of the dynamics. There are other dynamics, and I can prove to you and to everyone in the world that a property is amazing to hold at all times. But today it's very important for you to understand both sides. A property is formed of commodities, yeah, and it's scarce commodities, and the most fluctuating of that is human resource in a property development process. Land, steel, concrete, other materials. So you need to understand that, and we all need to understand that very well. Now, item number one. Item number two, sentiment affects property markets so much. Item number three, supply and demand changes because migration of supply and demand. Because look, demand can drop a little bit globally, but cannot be diminished. Yet, in certain markets, it can migrate out of that market for many reasons. And those reasons we see today in the UK market, for example, or other markets that have similar things happening. Now, where would you go if you own a property and it's cash flowing and it's well positioned? So it's not something that's easily duplicable. It's something that has a good tenant. Then you're in good shape. You do not need to play a different game. Now, why are you in good shape? Because a 5 or 6 or 8 or 10% there is much better than a -5 somewhere else. Now, a -5 is much better than a -20. And if everything dropped by -20 and what you hold, and can be cash, dropped by -5 or 8, according to inflation, then you're at +12 if it dropped by -8. Why? Because you haven't dropped as much. Your money will buy more, or your property is worth more, or any of your assets. So what I want you to do today is be cautious, calm, think about what's coming, not with an eye of, let me hide, because there's nowhere to hide. I'm telling you, we all know it. There's risks that you can calculate for, there's risks that you can't calculate for. And risks and the status you have today is about risk mitigation, not risk elimination. You cannot eliminate the risks that are there. You have never been able to, but today more than ever. So be calm, go back to your desk, have 5 minutes of peace, and then start thinking of every single position. Why did you buy it in the first place? Why do you hold it? What's the worst case scenario? What's the best case scenario? What is it relevant to other positions that you hold currently or that you may hold, so that you know how to reposition? Those are my 5 cents for the day. I hope it helps you. I'm sure it will. I will be recording few others over the coming few days to make sure that we are on the same page in the logic, because I'm asked every day, how can I invest like you? You've been doing good. Yeah, acceptable. Over the past few years, I want to make investments like you, and some of them would not want to join me, but would want to do good investments. I wanted to say as good investments as me, and then I said, you need to join me. However, unfortunately, it's closed. The door is locked, but I may reopen it by June this year, because I believe there is plenty of good opportunities coming up. So we may need to capitalize on that, and I may open the door for new capital. But today it's not open, unfortunately. So to finish on this, be calm, go back to your desk, look at every fundamental of every position, be it cash or otherwise. Look at the currency you hold it in. Calm down. Not all banks will fall. Actually, banks will not fall. And let me remind you of something. If the top 5 or 10 banks in the world fall, you don't have to worry about anything. At that point of time, there's nothing to worry about. Trust me. Because we would have all, and our financial systems and way beyond, our social systems and way beyond would have fell apart prior to that happening. So remember that, and then move slowly from there. I wish you a good day.